Hello, everybody. Hope you are doing great at home. Welcome to Chapter 18 Growth and Development. In this chapter, Growth and Development, we are discussing about the principle of growth and development from the early stage of life to the adulthood. The word growth is the physical changes that are measured and that occur in the steady and orderly manner. Growth is measured in weight and height. Changes in appearance, means in the facial appearance, and body functions also measure growth. On the other hand, development relates to the changes in the psychological and social functioning. What do you mean by psychological functioning? Psychological functioning is related to the mental functioning, and social functioning is related to how you behave in the society, how you behave with other people, how you talk with other people. These all are related to the development. A person behaves and thinks in a certain ways in each stage of development. It means a person has to go through so many stages of development, and a person behaves and thinks in a different ways. Although they differ, growth and development, they overlap each other, they depend on each other, and they occur at the same time. And certain basic principle of the growth and development, they says that growth and development starts at the fertilization and continues until the death. It's a whole lifelong process, proceeds from the simple to the complex. It's like the learning process from simple to the complex. The growth and development also happen in the same way. Occurs in a certain direction, occurs in a sequence, order, or a pattern. So when life begins as a small baby, we have so many sequences, orders, and patterns to be followed. The rate of the process is uneven. It means all the babies who are born, they develop and they grow in a different pattern, which is not the similar, it is uneven. Each stage has its own characteristics and the developmental tasks and the guidelines. Every babies with the growth and development, they have so many stages to pass. Let's begin from infancy. Infancy is the age from birth to 1 year. In infancy, there are so many important events take place. Time of rapid physical, psychological, and social growth and development occurs at this phase of life. The developmental tasks are learning to walk, learning to eat solid foods, beginning to talk and communicate with others, beginning to have emotional relationship with parents, brothers, and sisters. Because all these infants, they live in the family surrounding. That's why they have so many things to mingle with the siblings who are bigger in the house. Developing stable sleep and feeding patterns. At this age, infants are already experiencing eating varieties of food and feeding themselves. Neonate or newborn. The average length is 48 to 53 centimeter or 19 to 21 inch of their body size, and the weight is generally 3200 gram to 3600 gram, that is 7 to 8 lb. Birth weight doubles by 5 to 6 months and triples by first birthday. Remember, this is very important point to remember. We can see that birth weight doubles by 5 to 6 months and triples by the first birthday. When the infant becomes 1 year old, the weight of the birth can be multiplied by 3. So, the physical changes occurs here in a massive way. In the same way, the central nervous system is not well developed at this point of life. Movements are uncoordinated and lack of purpose. They are just wandering on the floor, on the carpet, and movements are uncoordinated. Means you need to support the infant, the newborn. Newborns hear well, react to touch and pain. When you tickle the newborn, they react it. And when they are hungry or they are thirsty, they cry. You can feel the pain when they cry. They can taste and smell. Newborns have certain reflexes. Let's focus on the reflexes. These are very, very important. For your examination point of view, please note that all these reflexes are very important to know. Moro, startle, reflex occurs when a baby is startled by a loud noise. If you make a big noise near the baby might be turning or trying to turn the head towards the source of noise. Rooting reflex occurs when the cheek is touched. If you tickle on the cheek of the baby, it's called the rooting reflex. Near the mouth, with a sudden movement or with the head falling back. These are called rooting reflex. Similarly, there is another reflex. It's a sucking reflex, occurs when the lips are touched. At this situation, the infant feels that he is getting the formula milk or mother's milk when his lips are touched. There is a movement in the lips. Grasping palmar, when you give your thumb finger to the baby's hand, the baby tries to hold it. It's called grasping palmar reflex occurs when the palm is stroked. Similarly, when the infant becomes 1 month old, the newborn's head is large compared with the rest of the body. The trunk means the body is long, abdomen is large, round and soft. The newborn has a fat, puggy cheeks, a flat nose, and a receding chin. Newborns can see at birth, but the vision is not clear. He doesn't get the external information from the eyes, from the vision when he sees it. It's not clear because eyes, the vision works with the mental functioning and his mind is immature. For first 6 months, diet is mainly breast or formula milk, depending on the mother's condition or culture or availability of the milk. Solid foods are usually added at 5 to 7 months. Care must be taken to observe for allergies to food product. So how we care for the allergies? Certain foods might cause certain sensitivity or allergic reaction, like certain medication, for example, antibiotics and other foods. Therefore, we have to observe the allergies of the food. We have to document and report to the nurses, to the mothers. Infancy. In the same 1 month, baby can hold head up. In the 2 months, smile, follow movement of objects. In 4 months, able to roll over and can sit up. If supported, Moro and rooting reflexes disappear. Holds object in both hands. When the infant is 6 months old, two lower front teeth come in. Remember, always comes the two lower front teeth. The baby starts to learn how to chew food, can hold bottles, and can sit alone in the sitting position. When the infant becomes 10 months old, the infant understands a number of words. Understanding number of words, he can or she can turn his or her head when you have a very, very simple guides. Take a few steps. Walk at 1 year. When the infant becomes 1 year old, as we discuss, the infant becomes more mature. The weight of the body triples at this age, and the infant can walk very few steps. Now, the time period between 1 year to 3 years, it is called toddlerhood, where growth little bit slows. Growth rate is slower than during the infancy, but at this period, the developmental tasks are different. Tolerating separation from the primary caregiver, the toddler can come home from the caregivers, or toddler can go to the caregiver from the mother, who is sometimes the primary caregiver. Gaining control of the bowel and bladder function. He will start telling that he has a pee or poo, he wants to use the washroom. Using words to communicate. Definitely a toddler can communicate very nice language, simple word, short and sweet sentences, becoming less dependent on the primary caregiver. A toddler feels that he or she can do many things himself or herself. So, becoming less dependent on the others or the primary caregiver or mother. Toddlers need to assert independence. This is the time we need to help them to be independent. Begin to learn that things can be done with the help of the primary caregiver. Toilet training is very important training a toddler needs to learn. It is said that toddlers are physically and psychologically ready for that training, and toddlers are trained for using bathroom, which includes bowel training. Bowel training easier than bladder training. Bowel training is using the bathroom for the bowel movement And bladder training is the process of urination in the bathroom, and it is completed at 2.5 years. Bladder control during the day is achieved. Usually, toddlers are given the pull-ups or sometimes the diapers, and they will communicate when they need to go to the washroom, but during the night, they cannot control their bladder. Bladder training completes around 3 years or 3 years plus. When they cross the 3 year, there is another training, bladder training. Similarly, toddlers play alongside with other children, but do not usually play with them. It's called parallel play. They play alongside with other children. They copy with other children, but they don't want to mix up easily. They are very possessive. They say, it's mine. I can do. Let me do. There are so many words they use, which are very beautiful, and we cannot and we have not to discourage them because this is their stage and we have to respect it. Temper tantrums and saying no are very common at this age. This can frustrate primary caregiver. And let me ask you a question. Who is a primary caregiver? A primary caregiver could be a support worker or the mother of the toddler. Now, let's think that we, support worker, are the primary caregiver and we are looking after the toddler. So all this knowledge we must have before we even thinking to join the job. Begin to tolerate separation from the primary caregiver. We support worker work in a house with the toddler. After we finish the shift, we have to come back to our home and we have to separate with the toddler. But the toddler sometimes feels bad when we separate, but toddler can tolerate it. Now the third stage begins from 3rd year of life to 6 years of life, 3 to 6 years. And this stage is called preschool. Preschoolers are thinner. Remember, they are thinner, more coordinated in their movement. Coordination goes with the word, another word, movement. They can walk, they can run, they can play, they can do whatever they like, they can jump, and they are more graceful than toddler. They are a little bit more disciplined than the toddler, and they have already socialized themselves how to talk with the daddy or mommy or nurse or we as the primary caregiver or other people. Sometimes they are already starting to go to the school. That's why there is a jumble of experience in their mind, and their developmental tasks include increased ability to communicate with and understand others. Definitely, they are in the school or in the daycare and they have to communicate, and they can communicate very nicely. They are able to perform the self-care. They can use the toilet. They can clean their after toilet. They can do their self-care. They can start learning the gender differences. Sometimes they go with their own gender. Sometimes they don't mind going with a different gender. A boy can play with the girl, a girl can play with the girl or the boy, does not matter. Learning right from wrong and good from bad. This is the first socializing function they learn at this age of preschool. They know what is wrong and they know what is bad or what is good, what they have to do, how they have to talk with other people. They start learning them. Learning to play with others and developing family relationship. They hug their mummies when the mummies are waiting outside the school. They finish, after they finish the school, they go there and they are emotionally attached with their primary caregiver. The 3-year-old 3-year-old become more coordinated, personal care skills increases, language skill increases roughly 1000 words a 3 years old can speak. Play is very important. Basically, they are belonging to the play group in the school and daycare. Know that there are two sexes. They see a boy sees a girl and finds the girl a little bit different than him. They ask so many questions. Why the girls are going to the different toilets and why they are going to that toilet? Why the female teachers wearing those dresses and male teachers wearing those dresses? They have a they have got so many questions in their mind. They are so much enthusiastic, very, very curious to know the new ideas. Concept of time develops. They ask you frequently, you the primary caregiver, what time of the day it is. Children may fear the dark and need night lights in the bedroom. Less fearful of a stranger, they can speak to anybody walking on the street. They don't mind what they feel, but they still speak to the strangers. They try to please primary caregiver. They have this mental power that if they do something good, they can please others like that. When preschoolers become 4 years of age, there are other more changes taking place. 4-year-old tend to test, tattle, and tell fibs. They can play with other children, play in groups of the 2 or 3, and tend to be bossy. They become like a manager. They don't listen more, rather they let other people listen more. Prefer the parent of the opposite sex. Let me repeat it. Prefer the parent of opposite sex. If the 4-year-old is a girl, she prefers her dad. If the 4-year-old is boy, definitely the boy prefers the mommy. Rivalries with brothers means fighting with the brothers and sisters are very common. Enthusiastic, very curious about the sexuality, how babies are made. They ask very difficult question to the mummies and daddies. Sometimes they can't even answer. When the preschool becomes 5 years of age, many coordination increases in the body. Coordination while walking, while sitting, while jumping, or while running develops. Communication skills increases. The person becomes very responsible and truthful. It is said that small children at this age, they speak the language of God and they speak the language of judges. They do not lie and they tell the truth. Responsible and truthful, like having rules. They want to follow rules. If somebody does not follow the rules, they try to force that person. Daddy, you also have to do this thing. Even they are ready to teach the daddies and mummies at home. Fears are fewer. They do not fear at all. They are proud of accomplishment. This is the time we have to encourage the preschooler a lot, because we have to let them feel proud of their deed, their work, their accomplishments. They imitate adults during play and are interested in the TV. This is a world of technological devices. Many kids are exposed to different uh, technological devices like mobile phone and TV and computer, laptops, etc. They enjoy doing things with the primary caregiver of the same sex. This is a typical development of their mind. They want to do, they want to play, they want to eat, they want to read, learn so many things with the primary caregiver of the same sex. Younger children are considered a nuisance. Now, the preschooler becomes school age. Now, it is also called middle childhood, that covers the age of 6 years to 8. Developmental tasks in middle childhood are developing the social and physical skill needed for playing games. They choose their friend, their good friend, or they say sometimes their best friend, developing the social and physical skill. That's they develop the friendship. They call their friends by their first name, and they call them for playing the games and running on in the ground. Learning to get along with other children of the same age and the background, peers. They are very much influenced by other bigger children in the school and siblings at home, which we call peers, peer influences. Learning gender appropriate behavior. What do you mean by this? Gender appropriate behavior. 8 years old boy, for example, does not go to the girls' washroom, even if he is in a great hurry. He waits to go to the man's washroom. That's gender appropriate behavior. A 7 years old girl does not wear her brother's jacket, even if it fits her, because it's not gender appropriate for her. Learning basic reading, writing, and arithmetic skills. This is a main area of starting up their learning. They do a lot of reading. There are small books they read. They do some writings and some mathematical skills like addition, subtraction, which are arithmetic. Developing conscience and morals. They start developing certain values in the family, in the school, certain rules and regulation. They know certain level of discipline, what they have to do, what they have not to do. These are the consciences and the morals. Developing a good feeling and attitude about oneself. They are proud of themselves. They feel proud of their school, their teachers, their friends. their parents, their siblings, etc. Similarly, when a preschooler becomes 6 years of schooler becomes 6 years of old, becomes boshy, like a boss in the house, like a boss in the classroom, opinionated, they have their own big opinion of something, they are charming, argumentative, means talkative, they talk a lot, and know it alls. They are they consider themselves, they know everything. They know where to go. They say, you don't have to teach me what I need to do, where I need to go, something like that. They are just proud of their knowledge of everything. Like to have their own way. They are very, very personal at this phase of life. They like to have their own way of doing the work. May cheat to win means they are a little bit greedy, a little bit jealous. They have learned to be a jealous. They may cheat to win. They want to win at any cost, at any rate. Begin to prefer playing with children of the same sex. Again, before this age, they wanted to go with the different sex parent, but again, this had changed into the same sex. If a daughter is there, she prefers her mom, and the boy, his dad. Best friend, they develop the concept of making somebody their best friend. Sometimes parents become the best friend, or classmate becomes the best friend. Sometimes the school teacher becomes their best friend. It depends on the situation. Tattling is common at this age. They love to tattle. Now we are moving to 7 to 8 years old child. This is very significant year. They are already in the school. They are already familiar with different rules, code of conducts, a little bit discipline. They are scheduled that they know their schedule that they need to go to school Monday to Friday, and they have homeworks, they have assignment. They say that they have the responsibility. They have already perceived their responsibilities. They know they have to do their homeworks and so on. Like going to school, peer groups are vital. Peer groups are the senior students in the school and other siblings at home. They are very much influenced by the peer groups, and therefore the peer groups are vital to them. Well managed, mannered, and relate well to adults. They behave like the adults, 8 years old boy or girl. They are pretty much mature in terms of their behavior, their socializing. So, in this age of 8 years, when they come to this age, there are so many changes and so many growth and so many development have already taken place. Late childhood, 9 to 12 years. It's the beginning, 1 year before the beginning of the teenage. They are now 9 to 12 years. From 13 years, their teenage starts. It's called pre-adolescence or late childhood. Pre-adolescents are expected to show more refinement and maturity in achieving these tasks. Remember this word, pre-adolescence, and relate the age with this word. Pre-adolescent, 9 to 12 years. They show more refinement and maturity in their behavior, in their thinking, in their socializing process. They know how to follow discipline, and they know what happens when they do not follow the discipline. There is a concept of reward and punishment. They have already understood. They have internalized in the mind the concept of reward and punishment. They are very, they are behaving like their uh, parents and teachers and senior members of the family and so on. They are becoming independent of adults and learning to depend on themselves. They express their responsibility. For example, they say they have so many homeworks to do and they depend on themselves. They can do it themselves. It's a self-dependency starts at this school, this age of pre-adolescence. Developing and keeping friendship with the peers. The senior students in the school, they are the peers and they are developing the friendship with the peers, understanding the physical, psychological, and social roles of their gender. Let me repeat this. Understanding the physical, psychological, and social roles. The physical role. So basically, they can understand who is a father and what are the duties of a father, or who is a mother, what are the duties of a mother, how she become mother. They are aware of those truth behind the curtain. And psychological, they are mature in terms of their thinking. They understand so many things. In these Western countries, a 12-year-old kid is already mature enough to know all the realities of life. And social roles. Social roles means they have a varieties of friends of different gender and different culture, different religion, different condition. They understand the financial conditions, how parents are making money, why they have to go to job, and what happens if they have a good financial condition or they don't have a good financial condition. They are pretty much aware of all these roles. That covers from the physical level to the psychological and social level. Let's say psychosocial and physical level. Developing moral and ethical behavior. This is very important period of their life. We have to encourage them to develop the moral and ethical behavior. For example, if a child of this age starts lying to you as a primary caregiver, you have to encourage the child to tell the truth. You have to talk with the family member, and you have to discourage the unethical behavior and encourage the child for the ethical behavior. Sometime 12 years old is big enough to learn negative behavior with the peers, and this is a period we have to give them more time. We have to be their friends, very close caregiver, and we have to communicate with them. Communication is very important with these age factors children. Developing greater muscular strength. In their school, they have a gym class and they know what is the need of strong muscle, what happens when the body is strong. That's why they involve in different playing activities and they have a greater muscular strength. They still have, again, they are very good in coordination and balance. They take part in the dancing, they take part in the different other activities, extracurricular activities in the school, at home, in the community, and they learn how to coordinate their balance, how to walk, how to talk, how to play, how to maintain the balance. Many things are being changed at these years. And learning how to study. They are already experiencing a couple of years of school experiences and they learn how to start study. Now we are discussing about late childhood. In the late childhood that begins from 13 years of age, and so many physical changes appear both in the boys and girls. Girls have a growth spurt. Both boys and girls have more graceful and coordinated body movements. So many secondary sexual characteristics are visible in their physiology, in their body, and in their activities. They feel shy, which is psychological. They want to make the friends of their own gender usually. And at physical level, they have developed the muscle strength and different physical activities and physical skills are increased. This is also called the beginning phase of or the onset of puberty. Onset means starting point. Onset of puberty is nearing them. Puberty is the period when reproductive organs begin to function and secondary sex characteristics appear. In the girls, they are getting more weight on the body. In the boys, very thin mustaches and beard appear in their face. It means the facial hair appears in the body and other parts. In genital organs also, the hair appears during this period. Children at this age need factual sex education. Factual sex education means all about the reproductive system and school curriculum includes and they teach, even some parents, they teach at home, maintaining the level of comfort. And in some culture, it is not taught at all at home. Peer groups are the center of activities. They always follow the senior students in the schools, and the influence of those peer groups are very much in their blueprint of the mind. They are basically focusing their whole activities towards the peer groups. If their peer groups are very good in study, in the activities, in the games and sports, they follow them. If not, it is our duty to check what kind of friendship or peer influence is there in their mind. Children prefer friends of the same sex. Interest in the opposite sex begins. This is the late childhood. Now they are being physically and mentally mature, and the interest in the opposite sex begins at this age of life. These children are aware of the mistakes and faults of adults. Sometimes they are ready to teach their dads or moms, this was your mistake and that was her mistake, because they are aware of what is good and what is bad. In this stage of life, they are fully aware of what is to be done and what are bad things not to be done. Parents and children disagree. Parents belong to a different age group and children belongs to a different age group. Sometimes there is a clash between the parents and the children. That's called their disagreement. They have their different opinion in terms of their experiences and knowledge. Parents are needed for the child's development. Parents are needed for the child's development. Remember, parents are always loving their kids in unconditional way, and their role in the child's development is most important. Now they are jumping to another stage of their life that covers 12 years to 18 years of age. This is the beginning. This age begins with their maturity, both at physical and psychological level. They are already in the high school. Adolescence, the time between the puberty and adulthood. It is the time of rapid growth and physical, sexual, emotional, and social changes. Remember, maybe this is the most important time in human life. It is the time of rapid growth. Because of this rapid growth, there are so many hormonal changes taking place in their life, in the boy's life and in the girl's life. At the physical level, at the sexual level, at the emotional level, they are very emotional as well. And the social changes, they are good friends. They love to go with their friends, sometimes away with the friends, and they are aware of their gender, their sexuality, what is their physical strength, what are good things to be done, what are bad things not to be done. They are aware of everything pretty much. This is a high school student age, because in after 18 years they leave the high school, they pass out from the high school. The stage begins with puberty. Girls reach puberty between the ages of 10 and 14. The puberty in girls begins a little earlier than in boys. But in boys, when they reach puberty between the ages of 12 and 16. See the differences here. In the girls, the puberty begins from years of 10 to 14. And in boys, it starts from 12 and ends at 16 years of age. Similarly, the developmental tasks of the adolescents of 12 to 18 years include accepting changes in the body and appearance. There are so many changes taking place in the body, both in the girls and boys. Developing appropriate friendship with males and females of the same age. Appropriate friendship. Because they know what is appropriate and what is inappropriate. And they are curious to develop appropriate relationship, which is a kind of friendship with the males and the females of the same age. Accepting the role appropriate to one's age and identified gender. They know what is their appropriate role, which is in coordination with their own gender or different gender. They accept it. the role appropriate for one's age and identified gender. They are identified with a certain gender. Becoming independent from parents and adult. They want to become independent from the parents and adult. Now they feel they are adult. They consider themselves adult. In certain culture, when they are done with the high school, they finish the high school, when they go to university, they start living on their own. They don't live with the parents any longer. But other cultures, they live with the parents. They still don't feel safe living away from the home. They don't want to leave their parents. They think in a different way, whereas certain cultural belief have taught them that they can live in a different way as they like. Developing moral attitude and values needed to function in society. They have already learned so many moralities, social moralities or immoralities. What are the attitudes they need to develop and they have to demonstrate? Or what are the social values they need to function in the society? Values needed to function in the society. This is all about the respect. This is all about realizing the coexistence. For example, we live in a society. A society is made up of so many people belonging to different cultural background, different financial background, and different linguistic background, means they speak their own languages as well. So we have to develop, or they have already developed the values to respect others and to be respected from others. This is how is the day-to-day living and the values needed to function in the society. There are certain social rules and regulation they follow. If they do not follow, again, they have already internalized, they have already acknowledged the concept of reward and punishment. If they go against the society, or if they go anti-social activities like negative activities like drug selling or alcoholism and other things, they are aware of getting punished for their antisocial activities. Similarly, increased use of social media. This is a world of technology. They have so many types of social media they are already familiar with. And electronic communication, for example, the cell phone. Nowadays, everybody has the cell phone and computers, and they have the social media. They communicate with their friends, with their peers, with their parents, with their teachers, with their families, and everybody with the electronic media nowadays. And electronic communication devices for communicating with peers. Basically, they are very much influenced by peers. Adolescence. Menarche marks the onset of puberty in girls. What do you mean by menarche? Menarche is the most important event in any girl's life. It is the first menstruation and the start of the menstrual cycle. When she reaches to adolescence, usually it depends on the physicality of a girl. Sometimes menarche, she starts the menstruation cycle quite earlier, like 10 years of age, and sometimes it goes 12 or even 13, 14 years of age, depending on their physical structure or their diet, their health, and everything. So, menarche is the first menstrual cycle, and um, it starts the menstrual cycle. Pregnancy can occur. Secondary sex characteristics occur. Now, this is the age they can be pregnant, but they are not allowed to be pregnant by the law until they are 18 to 20 years of age. Pregnancy can occur. That's why safe sex practices are taught in the high school. They are familiar with what is their body functioning at this age. And secondary sex characteristics like development of the breasts and other organs and maturity of those organs already starting to take place. Whereas in the boys, ejaculation, the release of the sperm, signals the onset of puberty. Menstruation in the girls and the release of semen or ejaculation in the boys, puberty in the boys. Nocturnal emission, wet dreams occur. The male can father children. Other secondary sex characteristics appear. There is the development of bodily hair. Their hormonal testosterone develops already. In the girls, the hormone prostrogen and other hormone develops. In the boys, testosterone hormone develops. This is called sex hormone, and the and it is very important secondary sex characteristics. Adolescents need to become independent of adults, especially parents. This is taught here. Adolescents need to become independent of adults. Need to become independent. May I ask you one question? Were you independent of adults, especially from the parent, when you became adolescent? Please do not tell me the answer. You can think yourself. Adolescence. Growth spurts occur. The growth begins a lot in a massive way. Consider awkward stage because they feel uneasy because of the secondary sex characteristics taking place in their body. They find changes in physical appearance hard to accept. The development of facial hair makes them a boy with the long mustache or beard, which they are not very much experienced with. Concern with the weight, they are always feeling that they are gaining the weight and they try to skip the diets, may try various diets. They don't want to put on weight a lot at this age. Intense emotion, high and lows. Because of the hormonal changes, the emotions in the body, in the mind, it is generally directed by the hormonal changes, and which sometimes goes up and sometimes it goes down. It's highs and lows. Dating begins crowd dates. Dating is just meeting their girlfriends or boyfriend. It begins at this age when they are doing the high school, and it is the crowd dates. Adolescents, teenagers prefer begin with the peers over doing things with their family. They put the family in the second priority. Teenagers prefer being with peers. They want to be with the friends. Very often they want to go with the friends over doing things with their families. They put family in the second priority. It's not unnatural because it is their developmental process. Still, they are learning so many things in life. Adolescents may begin to feel or show a sexual orientation. Adolescents may begin to feel or show a sexual orientation because they know that their gender is male or female or boy or girl, and they know what are the characteristics of being a girl at this age and what are the characteristics of being a boy at this age. Appearance is important. They use different cosmetic. They want to be attractive. They want to be focus of everybody. They want to be the center of focus in the school, in the college, in the university. This is a time they are jumping from one stage of life to another stage, a very big stage. From the high school, they are going to another university or college level. They want to be handsome or they want to be beautiful at this age. Adolescents begin to think about careers and what to do after high school. Now, before they are finished their high school, they have already determined that what they are going to do after they are done with the high school. So, teen needs to develop morals, values, and attitude for living in the society. It is like morning shows the days. Today's student are tomorrow's our nation builder. If today's students they have the morals, they know the values, they know how to live in the society, how to live in the multicultural society like in the society we live now, in the Canadian society, in the society around Toronto area, how to live in those society. Now students have to learn a lot, and they have to learn from the teachers, from the parents, from the peers, from their culture, from their religion, from the technology, media, and school, and some influencing factor. These are the influencing factor. They influence their moral, their values, their attitude, how to live in the society. Young adulthood, 18 to 40 years. At this age, people just finished the high school and going to the university or campuses, colleges, and this stage of life begins after with the completion of high school education, and they are physically they are strong, they have sound health, and they are psychologically mature. They can adjust in the society. They know how to mingle with the social life. They have already their friends, their families, their near and dear, and they live on their own sometime. And it is psychological and social development. This is the big stage of their life. There is a little physical growth. At this stage, the physical growth gradually slows. Developmental tasks of young adulthood include choosing an education and a career. A student from the good family, they are they are guided, they are guided by the counselor, by the parents, by the teacher, by the peers, by the friends, by the senior member of the family, what type of career they want to choose. And selecting a partner, maybe this time, this is the time for selecting the partner. They marry, they remain in the close contact, or they remain in the close proximity with the potential life partner, sometime in the name of girlfriend or boyfriend, and living together type of um, reality they experience at this age, learning to live with the partner, becoming a parent and raising children. Again, from the 18 years of life to being a parent and raising the children, they experience a lot of things, a lot of realities in life at this age. So developing a satisfactory sex life, they have a sexual partner, and they are mature enough, and they are starting their life, their career. Young adulthood. Most adults marry. At this age, after 40 years, almost all the adults they marry. Some choose to remain single. This is called the lifestyle choice nowadays. Sometimes people love to remain single. They don't want to go with any marital relation. Gay and lesbian persons may commit to a partner. They decide whom to live with. Partner must learn to live together. Adults need to develop a satisfactory sex life. Couples can plan when to have children and how many children to have or experience an unplanned pregnancy and unplanned pregnancy. There's so many things happen during this age, young adulthood, that begins from 40 years of age up to 40 years of age, 18 to 40 years of age, and many things happen. They have their life, they have their career, they finish the study, or they have the job and they have a satisfactory sex life and they plan for their family, their kids. In some cultures, they live with the parent and they are looking after their parents. Also, parents grow old, especially in the South Asian culture. The kids, they love to live with the parents and uh, pay back to the parents by caring them, by helping them, by assisting them in the different adverse situation. Parents must agree on child rendering practices and discipline methods, adjust to the child and to the child's need for the parental time, energy, and parental attention. Like role of the parents, they are being the they are learning from the parents, at the same time what they are experiencing as a new parent at this age, and they have a double knowledge about that, and they are still learning something from their parent, and they are being the parent themselves. Now the middle adulthood, we are jumping from a different stage of life which begins at the age of 40 until 65 years of age. This stage is more stable and comfortable. Developmental tasks relate to, at this phase, the developmental tasks of human beings is adjusting to physical changes. After the 40 years of age, different changes at physical level occurs, and they have a grown children, and they are developing leisure time and activities, and they are relating to aging parents. Now, so many changes occurs. This is a big changes in the life. Now they are starting to develop different physical changes. Basically, all the physiological stage condition slows down after years of 40, and different diseases try to attack the body, and to prevent those diseases or to delay those diseases, people need to do adequate physical exercise and balanced diet, and their children are already grown. They have already lost their parents, or their parents, maybe if they have the parents who are very old, and they relate everything with being older parents. Middle adulthood, several physical changes occur. Generally, the physical changes occurs at the age of 40, and this period, many um, other changes are added. Energy and endurance means the tolerance begin to slow down. Metabolism means the digestion of the body. Gastrointestinal tract, the digestive system decreases, means the metabolism decreases, and physical activity begins to slow down. Now people become older, their full body becomes full of pain and aching, and on the top of that different diagnoses are there. Sometimes they have some adverse diseases are there, and they have to undergo different treatment with the diseases. So physical activities, that's why it decreases. Facial wrinkles and gray hair appear. The skin of the face becomes less elastic and it wrinkles, and gray hair appear on the head, on the other parts of the body. It is common to need eyeglasses. People over the long period of time, the eyes also slows its functioning. They need the eyeglasses. Hearing loss may begin. Menopause occurs in women after 45 to 50 years of age, and after 50 years of age, generally they have the menopause, means they cannot give birth to kids anymore. Many diseases and illness can develop at this age of life. Middle adulthood, children leave home. Parents must let children lead their own lives. Hobbies and pastimes bring pleasure. They discuss about the past life, how they meet, how they love each other, how they play in the high school. Like everything, they turn back. They remember the past life. Responsibility for aging parents may begin during this age. At this age, they might have their own parents in their 90s or late 90s or 80s. They have so many duties to look after themselves, have their aging parents. Many middle-aged adults deal with the death of the parents. This is the time the middle-aged adult, they have to deal with the death of their parents, because their parents are already in the 80s and 90s and they die there. Now the late adulthood begins after 65 years of age, and the tasks of this, the developmental tasks of this age are adjusting to decrease physical strength and loss of health. They are already diagnosed with different diseases, adjusting to the retirement and reduced income. They do not have active life anymore. They don't go to the work. They depend on the money government gives them as a social security or their retirement pensions. They are starting to coping with the partner's death. Sometimes the death of the partner becomes the loss of happy life, and they have already experiencing the lonely life after the death of partner. Developing new friends and friendship might occur in the long-term care home. Even they keep on developing new friends and friendship with other, preparing for one's own death, and they are preparing their own death at the ending stage of their life. Thank you for your patience and have a great time. Thank you. Bye.